started in 2001 for you as a sick note. That was probably Ed Rush and Optical, or not?
Yeah, I mean, going back then, I guess I released my first drum and bass track with Raiden now, but he was called Jarman back there. Yeah, I mean, the track Sick Note was a big influence on me, but there's many other things earlier than that, I guess. Adam F, Ronnie Size, old Moving Shadow records.
The first, period was done with Skinny, also known as Balance.
Yep. Yeah, that was 2001 as well. We were writing tunes for Stacker and Skynet for Under Fire Recordings and Audio Blueprint. Yeah, I was working in the same studio as those guys, so it was really good learning ground for me to pick up on studio tips and just get my music out there.
Yeah, the tunes then were a bit more in the state of time, not very progressive for the time, but in the...
Yeah, I mean, back then I was doing a lot more techie kind of sound, but that was because of the people I was around, Stacker, Skynet, Raiden, New Balance. The studio I worked at was very techie-based producers, so I kind of just went along with it, really, because I was the new guy coming in. I just went with what was there and just enjoyed learning. So I wasn't really the one forging a new sound at that time. I was just learning a lot and just watching what was going on.
And then another period was with Flow and...
Yeah, wow, that's going back as well. That was probably a few years earlier with Flow, did tracks for New Directions. I guess similar sound though, the techie sound, it was a similar kind of era.
Yeah, but it's also liquid stuff,
Yeah, we did a track for Renegade Recordings called Time Out that was... a liquid tune, and it was a big moment for me because I remember hearing on BBC Radio 1 John Peel play my track on Boxing Day, the day after Christmas Day. It was the first time I ever heard my music played on Radio 1, so that was a good feeling.
Okay, after that, the True Lynx was born for me. I don't know, it was 2007 with all the great stuff, also Disco Dodo, and Disco Dodo was probably the most significant in that period, the most significant track. Yeah,
I mean that was when, in between that point, I was a studio engineer, and stopping being an engineer and working for other people and writing my own music for me was when really I was allowed to let go and just write music only for me, and that was when I did Disco Dodo, Mariachi, Global Enemies with Kemo and a lot of other tracks around that time. So it was quite a sort of liberating time for me to not have to answer to anyone else, and I just do my own music for me.
Yeah, you also met with Kemo, like you said. So how was that? How did you fit up together?
We met on MySpace. First, we didn't actually meet in person until I think both Global Enemies and Carnival were in record shops, and we started touring together. We met at a gig in Holland, I think, which was kind of surreal, because you build up a relationship creating music together. So you're involved in a creative project, so ideas flow, but you've never even met the person. So I didn't even know if he really existed because it was all virtual, you know what I mean? You never know. Being on the internet, you're talking to someone, you don't really know if they are who they are. So I was kind of scared before meeting him. I thought maybe he was like a 50-year-old man I'd wind up in the back of a trunk, you know what I mean?
You also worked previously, before you worked with Lynx, you also worked with some other artists in a lot of different directions. How would you describe working in different styles? Is it very different, or is it the flow of work, is it quite the same?
Well, I just love music, you know what I mean? And it's like all the different styles, maybe it's just like different languages, but it's still the same planet and it's still people, you know what I mean? It's like, I have a hard time writing in general, but that goes for no matter what kind of style of music I write to, It's, for me, it's like, I'm trying to connect to whatever universal energy that's out there that can help me be creative and maybe because we live in such a busy world where we're not used to connecting to that, it's difficult for me to get to that place. But once I do, it flows freely. And there, it doesn't matter if I'm writing to a drum and bass track, to a house track, a dubstep track, a hip hop track. It doesn't really matter to me because it is all the same, really. Music is music for me, I think.